Welcome to the Toke and Trans. What do I say? Welcome to the Toke and Trans podcast, where we talk life, love, and getting high. Grab a J and join us. We do not condone the consumption of illicit activities with anyone under the age of 21. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Toke and Trans podcast, where we talk life, love, and getting high. Oh, wait. You probably already just heard that.
You just learned that, and now you know for sure what we're doing here. We are talking about life, love, and getting high. As usual, me and Bo pre-gamed a little bit because we like to come into this space with a fresh start and a fresh mind to explore our next topic. And today is going to be an interesting one. Today is a little bit of a little more fact checking, a little more informational. Bo, tell the people what we're talking about today.
Okay, so a lot of you probably know about Chick-fil-A's history and the queer community. Not great. A lot of you probably also heard about a little promise that they made in 2019 to stop all donations to queerphobic organizations. And it seems that was a PR campaign that worked really well because a lot of people believe it, and it's not true. I found out recently, and I think that in order for us to make more informed choices on the way that we consume, I just want to say real quick that I don't care what you do. I don't care if you go to Chick-fil-A every day. I don't care. Do what you're going to do, but please know what that money does. And if you didn't know, and you're somebody who would like to know the effect of your purchases on minority communities, and you would like to avoid putting your business in places that harm communities, then please keep listening because we have quite the doozy for you.
Yeah. Chick-fil-A has started as a Christian-based company, I guess, like when they first kicked off, and like usual, a lot of bad people hide behind religion and hide behind things like that to go ahead and say this is what we stand for, and say that we their literal statement includes committing to everyone and having diversity and inclusion, and it's like we just haven't seen that anywhere at all. In fact, we've seen the opposite in a lot of situations with business decisions and the way they spend money, the way they spend the money that we give them, and like every purchase, it does make a difference. It may be a small difference, but a lot of small differences together, you know how it goes. So yeah, so we want to dive into that a little bit and kind of talk about how they got into that, what situation they got caught in donating to, and kind of how they responded and how the community responded to their response.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. So it looks like most of it started in 2012, and that was when the current CEO, Dan Cathy, he's the son of the previous owner, took control, blah, blah, blah. He made public comments vehemently opposing same-sex marriage. And after that was when we found out that two organizations run by the Cathy family had donated millions of dollars into organizations that have been hostile to LGBT rights and LGBT people. So that's kind of when there was an initial boycott. If you remember, I mean, I guess you would have had to have been an adult in 2012 to really, I guess, know that was going on. But there was a whole kissing campaign. Do you remember that?
I was in high school.
Sorry.
During that time.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's
When
okay.
he was all,
In 2012, I was in high school, so I, I don't, I don't remember. I wasn't very in the news. I wasn't very
Mhm,
economic. I wasn't very educated,
right.
so
Yeah,
I probably missed that.
there was a whole thing where like queers were going to Chick-fil-A to kiss in front of the register,
Okay, I
as
have
like
seen
a
photos of that.
yeah, as like a protest. And
Yeah,
then I'm not really sure all what's happened in between, but in 2019 was when the company issued a statement saying that they would cease any donations to queerphobic organizations.
yeah. Like they got caught donating to. I can't remember what the two businesses were, but they got caught donating essentially to those two businesses that were anti-LGBT,
It was the
right?
Salvation Army and the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, I believe.
I see.
Yes. And in November 2019, Chick-fil-A announced that it would not make contributions in 2020 to the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and the Salvation Army.
Yeah, so they were basically
And
like, "Sorry, we were wrong. My bad. We shouldn't have
mhm,
donated to those businesses. Okay, we
right.
won't do it anymore." Is what they said.
Yep, that's what they said. But then when asked about whether they would consider donating to those organizations again, they said that they maintain the right to do so in the future. And um, if you look further into Dan Cathy's taxes, they found that while Chick-fil-A had stopped donations to the Salvation Army and the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, um, Dan Cathy himself did not cease those donations, and instead the donations went to those organizations under the Truett Foundation, which was owned by Dan Cathy.
Right. So he
So,
was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna send it. Fine. We'll just pay it through a different business. We'll just
yeah,
file some paperwork and move some things around and then pay it over here instead. That way,
right.
Chick-fil-A is good, but me as a business owner, I can morally support whatever I
hmm And I mean, I guess it could be argued that since Chick-fil-A isn't donating, like they were still telling the truth. But if you put your money into Chick-fil-A, you're putting money in the pocket of Dan Cathy. He can put his money
want. Right.
wherever the hell he wants,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's just crazy. And um there was also a rumor that Chick-fil-A had a hand in passing anti-queer laws in Uganda. And when you look at that at the top at the surface of it, it doesn't look like Chick-fil-A is involved at all. But the rumor was that a priest traveled to Uganda during the time that these anti-gay laws were being considered in Uganda. And the rumor was that Chick-fil-A was involved in paying that preacher that went to Uganda, and he supposedly helped get those laws passed.
Right.
And it doesn't look that way on the surface, but if you look at the organizations that are owned by the Cathy family, they own the S. Truett Cathy Foundation and the Windshape Foundation, and so
Yeah. So they use
the
those as like
donation,
names to do different donations and different things without saying, "Hey, we're signing this right here." They're saying,
right?
"Oh, we'll sign
Exactly.
our other name instead of our actual name."
Yes, the preacher Engel has his foundation called The Call, and the donations were made from the Windshape Foundation to Engel's The Call during the time that that legislation was being put in place. Now
Yeah.
it looks like it was going to be passed to be a death penalty, but it instead passed as life in prison instead. Um, and Engel refuses to acknowledge that he was any part of them, but he expressed joy in their having the wherewithal to pass it.
Yeah, I feel like
So
I saw some kind of like media coverage about um, the someone being in Uganda, like from Chick-fil-A supporting. I feel like I saw an article about that
mhm.
happening when it did go down.
Yeah, there was a rumor, and
Yeah,
then there were people saying that that wasn't true. And technically, you can say that. And the Chick-fil-A spokesperson said Chick-fil-A has not supported legislative campaigns of any kind in Uganda. So that's what
right.
they said.
So they're like, on
And
paper, we're not saying anything about that.
right. And technically,
Yeah,
Chick-fil-A, the brand, had nothing to do with any of the money that went to Uganda. However, the WinShape Foundation seems to have put money
right.
into that
The owner,
legislation. And the WinShape Foundation is
aka
owned
the
by the
owner.
Kathy family. Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So
allegedly.
yeah, so I mean,
uh,
basically, it just boils down to like make sure that you know about your purchases, right? Like you want to be putting every dollar that you give someone, you want to be intentional about it. Like I want to shop like if you can choose to shop local and you do, you know that that dollar is stretching a lot further for someone local or someone small business and things like that. And like those little decisions, even if it's a different business than Chick-fil-A, and you're choosing, hey, like, let me go to Zaxby's, let me hit up, Huey Magoo's. Like, there's so many other different, like, chicken places to get your chicken. And,
mhm.
you just be intentional with your dollars in every
Yeah,
situation you can be.
exactly. I mean, I think a lot of us are pretty used to boycotting by now. I think most of my friends have, you know, gotten so used to divesting from McDonald's, Starbucks, the big BDS movement people who invest in Israel. And like it's just one more thing. They lied, essentially, allegedly, in my opinion,
Yeah. Yeah.
to save face. And also, um I came across a reel recently where someone was saying that, oh, Chick-fil-A is paying $19 an hour or something. I commented saying, hey, just so you know, Chick-fil-A allows Dan Cathy to put millions of dollars into anti-queer organizations and legislations. That's all it said. I have 250 replies that are people saying, "Oh, I'm gonna buy even more now. Oh, thank God, I'm gonna support them even harder now." And like, okay,
Yeah.
that's great. I'm glad that I gave you the knowledge that allows you to put your money into something that you believe in. Sure, everybody should have the ability and the knowledge to put the money into places that they support. And if you're one of those people and listening to this makes you want to go buy more Chick-fil-A, go for it. Enjoy it. You have that
Yeah.
choice. But if you're a queer person who fell for the promise in 2019 and think that you can support them because, I also think that a change of heart deserves, a chance. And if that 2019 promise were true, I would want to support that business because, like, good, yeah, I want to support you in this
Change. Yeah.
change of heart for the
Positively.
better, right?
Yeah.
But I don't want to be tricked, and I feel like we've been tricked, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Um, and we deserve the knowledge of the truth, and it sucks that it has to be this freaking difficult for us
Yeah.
to find out, like, what we're
Oh,
buying, where our money's going. Why did I
yeah.
have to search for freaking 2 hours to find, like, the WinShape
Foundation crap.
Foundation and where
Yeah.
that
Like,
money went?
Why didn't you just
Flip the
say, "Hey,
script.
look, this is how we feel. This is us as this is our business. This as a owner. Blah blah blah." Why didn't you do that?
Hmm.
I don't know. Is it save to
Yeah.
save face? Is that was this just like a easy way to kind of move the money in a different separate area? Then you can say we'll split it after it gets onto this side of the line. Like just
Oh, I remembered another thing. In 2019, back when they promised, when they were asked if they were gonna donate, or where they said they reserve the right to donate to them again, um, they also stopped donations from organizations that didn't have anti-queer sentiment and benefited a lot of people. And when they asked whether the donation the donation halt to the organizations that were anti-queer had if them being anti-queer had anything to do with the donation stopping, they didn't say. So it's like they when they halted those donations, they halted a bunch of other donations to helpful, not hateful charities as well, and said that the reason they stopped from the anti-queer donations wasn't because they were anti-queer. It was for some other convenient reason they stopped.
yeah.
So
That just
it wasn't even
they were saying on this side they're saying, oh, it's because they were, and then on the other people they're like, oh, I thought you were supporting them. Oh, well, it's actually because our ROI is blah blah blah. Like
right.
it's always some different thing. So this businesses in general, like we've seen people do, like what like queer washing, where they like put a bunch of queer things in because it's selling better, and you can really tell by the way that, like, have you ever seen like a queer thing at the store and it's like labeled something really freaking strange, and you're like, why didn't you just put pride flag, but it's like rainbow, or like not rainbow, it'll be uh like iridescent, like all these like different words about the flag, but
Yeah.
you just don't say LGBT, like queer flag. There's no, like you could just tell
No
they're just trying to
pride,
like
yeah.
earn a buck. Yeah, but
Right.
they're like
Right.
watching the fine line of like, oh, we're not supporting, but we're not supporting. We didn't know what
Yeah.
it was. Oh, but yes, we did know because we want you to buy it. Which one, bro? You can't have both. Oh, that's just a marketing perspective. So there's a lot of things in
Mhm.
business that you really have to keep an eye out for, and be knowing, like knowing full, sure, with what you do with your money and and your decisions, because that you do spend a lot of money. I mean, it may not be, oh, it's $6 right now, oh, it's $10 right now, but then how many times a month, but then how many times a year, and then it's
Yeah.
this it adds up.
And
So
I
anytime you can spend it in somewhere that is more intentful on people that you want to support, you should probably put it there. Okay.
mhm. And um the argument was made against me several times. The argument, uh I use that word lightly. I it's not a relevant argument.
A
Um
point, a point was
yeah.
suggested.
Right. That gay people work at Chick-fil-A, queer people work at Chick-fil-A. Like quote unquote allies work at Chick-fil-A. People who don't hate gay people necessarily outwardly maybe work at Chick-fil-A. And the fact that the money goes where the money goes into Dan Cathy's pocket and wherever he puts it is in no way a relation to each franchise and the biases of the hiring crew there.
All the way
Like,
down. Yeah.
right. It um and especially for PR sake, they're gonna welcome queer people. It's good for business now.
Right. Now we have
And
people on our team that can say, yeah.
right.
I mean, we've
And
all been the
they
token, or a lot of us have been the token queer person in a lot of
right.
situations sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And they do pay good. But you know who else pays good? Chipotle. You can get the same at Chipotle. And from what I've seen, Chipotle doesn't donate to anti-queer legislation. Um
Yeah. So
so
I guess, yeah, do your
there's
research. I mean, do a
yeah.
lot of research on the businesses that you're applying to.
Yeah.
Especially, I feel like employees nowadays have a lot of like a little more strength nowadays. Like people know that they have online options. People know that they have these different, like, especially after COVID and people weren't coming back to work immediately, and they were like, we got to start offering more money. Like people,
Yeah.
I feel like in-person employees have a little bit more of an edge than they did before the pandemic, because they need them to be there. They need to incentivize them to be there. So I feel like shopping shopping around when you're doing your job research, this is something to consider looking into when you are applying. Do I want to, stand behind the counter on this side of the counter or that side of the counter, or do I want to be here at all?
Hmm. Yeah. And if you're a Chick-fil-A employee and you like your job or whatever, like that's fine. I'm not saying you have to go jobless. I'm saying maybe look for another job, and when you find it, don't give them 2 weeks notice. Um, you're
Stick
you're
it to them
you
when you can.
at the end of the day, your service there is allowing them to serve millions of people a day. Uh, so and your paycheck isn't putting them in any kind of red. You're
Yeah,
contributing you are contributing to their profit by working there. And,
right.
not everybody can work for a company that isn't impactful to the world in some kind of negative way. And I get that. But there are other options. If this information makes you feel uncomfortable working there, I wouldn't blame you. But I also don't blame you for needing a paycheck and working there if it's the only accessible option. Um, just, know what you're doing, know where you're working, and it really is way more difficult to find out these kinds of things, but I would recommend learning who the highest up position in your employee in employers is, the CEO usually. Find out the CEO and find out what the CEO's assets are as soon as you can, like what foundations they own, and
Yeah,
then it's really a lot of work. You got to find out where the money from those foundations is going, and even where the money from those foundations is coming from, because several times the National Christian Foundation has given money to the Chick-fil-A Foundation,
right.
and
The other way
instead
around.
of the other way around, which is still like, huh,
Weird.
interesting.
Yeah, and I
So
feel like I feel like a lot of people don't really research, their like where they spend their money, and like who's like they just don't really care where the money goes. They just need the service, or they want the food, or they need the thing, or the specific thing, and it just needs to be it just needs to be in and out. I don't want to research, but it's like if you go there frequently, look them up. Like even if you're not talking about Chick-fil-A, you're talking about Burger King. Look up the dude for Burger King. If just think about the
yeah,
places that you go all the time, where you're like, okay, I could see me spending some dollars here. They're making some money off me, but it's worth it because I need what they're selling. But those are the
right.
places. Google it, see, like, really dive into them, and then be like, that's interesting. That's good to know, because it kind of does leave like a different taste in your mouth once you learn these things, and yeah, and it makes it easier for me to be like, I'd rather get Huey Magoo's. They have the wraps, so. But,
Yeah, exactly. And you get there's recipes for the Chick-fil-A chicken online like everywhere. It's
they
really
got
just a
that
pickle juice marinade.
Yeah, and then they got that sauce at Walmart that's like
Oh
the
yeah.
great
Yeah, yeah.
value version. So like
Mhm.
it doesn't even have to be their sauce. They could just be the value version. So
Yeah,
get
exactly.
that, get around that shit. You guys got
Right.
this. Yeah. But yeah, we just wanted to share a little bit about our thoughts on it and what we've been learning and diving into and having the conversations we've been having online. And anytime that we have a conversation that is like, we need to dive into this a little further, me and Bo are going to pop on this podcast. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about it. A lot of times I'm going to be the one behind the thing being like, Bo, I need you to teach me because I don't really understand. That's why sometimes Bo says something and then I'm like, so as a recap, in dumbass terms, this, right? And he's like, yep, that's what you got. And I'm like, all right, bet, we got it. Understood. That's basically what happened. So whether you're on my side of things and you process it like me, or process it with all the information all at once, like Bo, he's good at what he does. And anytime I have a question, I always be bringing it to Bo. Even in business situations, people ask me, hold on, let me get back to you. Have you talked to Bo, or let me get back to you, and then I'll call Bo and be like, bro, I have a question. Even if it didn't have, even if it's not trans tape related. So I trust Bo's research. I trust Bo's opinion a lot, and he's my boy. And
I just want to say that I was stoned for this, and I was
yeah, we're
reading
always
several
stoned for
articles.
this.
I was reading several articles at once. So, but it was all very easily found with a Google search. So, um I'm just repeating information that was just reported on before, and you can look it up yourself if you don't believe me. That's fine, and leave a comment below. Do you still support Chick-fil-A after this? Did you know about this?
What are
I'm
your
really
thoughts?
interested in hearing who heard about the promise in 2019 and who
Yeah.
thought that they changed since then. And yeah,
Special
I
shout
think
out
a
to
lot of
those
people want to
who
know.
Special shout out to those who remember the kissing in front of the register thing. Like
Yes.
at the time, like the pictures. Yeah, I mean, I saw them, but I don't specifically remember that time. Otherwise, I probably would have been in on it if I would have known what was going on. But yeah,
Yes.
but I'm late to things, but that's fine. It's fine. Bo keeps me up to date. Yeah. So let us know what you think. We love you guys. Thank you for tuning in to another episode.
We'll
Hopefully,
see
we'll see
you
you
in the
in the
next
next
one.
one. Okay, bye.
Peace out.